Hello, welcome to this TEFL org lunchtime webinar. My name is Carl. I hope you're doing well today. Thank you. Let me see. Is that microphone working? There we go. Please say hello. Let me know where you are in the world. Let me know that where you are in terms of your teaching English career. Are you looking to start? Have you already started teaching? Are you in the middle of your course? Please let me know that you're out there. Just say where you are, tell us your name, and say hello. My name's Carl, and every week, well, most weeks, wait, that seemed to have some problems with the microphone. Let me see if I can fix that with a better one. I don't know why that is. I apologize in advance for that. I have a backup mic here that should hopefully work. I don't know why that is. Let me just change. Is that any better? I hope it is. I really apologize for this. Is that any better? I think so. Good. Okay, I'm sorry about that. So hello, my name is Carl. Welcome to this TEFL org Friday lunchtime webinar. I hope you're all doing well. The topic of this webinar this week is teaching young learners. So if you have any questions about teaching young learners, please put them in the chat so that I know who you are, know what your questions are, and I'll see if I can get through them. Okay, so thank you. I can see the ones coming in. I'm glad the microphone is better. Gaviota, hello, from Puglia. Is that in Italy? Ed in Granada. Is that good? Thank you. Capsule Wardrobe Collection. Oh, Caroline. Hello. That was a very interesting name. Germany. Grazia in Milan. Nicholas just started your TEFL course. Good. April in South Carolina. Good. I'm glad the microphone's better. Christine in France. Hello, Lorraine. Hello, Gren. Great. Oh, Gren, you're in Australia. Don't tell me what the weather's like in Australia. Outside my window here in Northern Ireland, it is horrendous today. So good. I'm glad the microphone's now working. So my name's Carl. If you have any questions at all about the industry of teaching English as a foreign language, please put them in the chat. Anything at all, and I will do my best to answer them. Hopefully I'm qualified and experienced enough to answer them because I have taught in big chunks of this lovely world of ours. I've taught in East Asia. I've taught in the Middle East. I've taught in Europe. I have a range of qualifications. I have a qualification like we offer at TEFL org, the 120-hour online course, but I also have a CELTA, a Delta, Masters in Teaching English as a Foreign Language. So anything at all, please pop them in the chat and I will answer them if I can, or if not, Alan, who is monitoring the chat, will definitely be able to answer them. So the topic of today's chat is about teaching young learners, and teaching young learners is something that I didn't think I would get into when I first started teaching. So I kind of had a dream that I would just be teaching adults when I started teaching around the world. But actually, as I sort of have gone through my 15 years of teaching, I have taught more and more kids as I've gone on. And actually, I now do a lot of examination work, and probably about 60 to 70% of that examination work is actually examining the English level of young learners. So it is a big part of teaching English. And schools, private language schools especially, love having classes full of kids. And the reason why private language schools around the world love having classes full of kids is they can generally get a bit more money out of them than they can out of teaching adults, because you can pack more kids in the classroom than you can adults. They also tend to stay with the language school for a bit longer. So adults will come in to the language school. They might stay for I don't know, like a term, 2 terms to accomplish whatever their goals are. Whereas kids tend to stay in a language school for maybe, I don't know, 5, 6, even 10 years of studying. So long term, it's better for the language schools. And if you're teaching online, there's more work for teaching young learners because they tend to stay with the companies that you're going to go and work for. Or if you're setting yourself out on your own as your own independent English language teacher, they will hopefully stay with you for longer, and you'll get to see them grow up, and you'll get to see them really improve their English, and they'll pay more money for a longer period of time. Okay, so that's sort of a brief introduction to why we're teaching young learners and why today is about young learners, because it is a massive part of teaching English, and probably you're going to teach kids on your English language teaching career. Okay, so I can see some questions coming in already. Thank you for all those hellos. Fantastic. Hello, Georgina. In some countries, there's quite an extreme crunch or study cultures, even for young learners. What do you recommend for supporting tired or oversubscribed students? I like that question, Georgina. That's a really good one. Yes. So it is a big thing in Asia, especially, I think, for kids to have lots and lots of hours of teaching. I remember when I was teaching in Japan, kids were knackered pretty much all the time, basically, and the similar thing with China. So what I would recommend for you, if you do have classes where the kids look knackered or the kids looked quite tired, your personality has to come through. First of all, Georgina, you have to be this super alive, super alert, super fun, super friendly teacher. Okay, and that can be tiring yourself, especially if you've been doing it for sort of 20 hours already in a week and you haven't had a day off yet, to still have that energy. So you have to, there's a theory in teaching English that you have to be the enthusiastic one as the teacher. You have to be the one, and that the students get their energy from you. So first of all, no matter how tired you are, no matter how bad your day is, you have to have the energy. And you can do that in your activities. If you're teaching in a classroom with young learners, get them up, moving around, get them playing games, all that kind of thing. If you're teaching online to young learners, do the same thing. Don't be scared to get them walking around their room, get them going to find stuff, get in some total physical response type things like, okay, yes or no, is this reading question yes or no? Run to the left if you think it's a yes. Run to the right if you think it's a no. Get them out of their chair, get them moving. Don't be afraid to do that online or within a classroom. Okay, good. Faheem, hello. You're planning to teach in the Middle East. Which Middle Eastern country did you teach in? I taught in Iraq for a good chunk of time, actually, Faheem. And next to the Middle East, not quite the Middle East, I taught in Azerbaijan for a bit. So similar Arabic type of culture, that kind of thing. But Iraq was my big time that I spent in the Middle East. Teaching in the Middle East is a good option for people, especially I find if you're from America or Australia or, an English speaking country. If you're a lady, there's quite a few openings in the Middle East because it's traditionally seen as somewhere where maybe Western ladies don't necessarily want to go and teach. And I really enjoyed teaching out there, and I met my wife from Northern Ireland out there as well. It's a great place to go and stay, and tends to be quite well paid if you're thinking about them. Okay, Grazia, hello. What's the best way to get them involved and motivated? So, you look very fashionable in your profile picture there, Grazia. I feel very underdressed now. Anyway, what's the best way to get them involved and motivated? Right, I think the best way to keep young learners motivated is to give them topics that they will enjoy. So quite often in the general English textbooks that you get, their topics can be quite boring. So I feel like the first thing to get students motivated is to pick topics that they're interested in, or, and it might be a bit cliched, you think young learners might be interested in. So, for example, having topics on music, having topics on kids. Wait, there's my microphone a bit better. I've just turned up the microphone. Thank you. I'm really sorry that the microphone's not so good today. So giving them topics, for example, on music, on artists, like, you know, I gave lots of topics on Miley Cyrus when I was teaching, because she was quite popular with the kids and I hated it, but they really got involved. They really liked it. Justin Bieber at the time, I can remember doing lessons on Justin Bieber, even though I hated the music of Justin Bieber. Students were involved. Students were motivated. Another way of getting them involved and motivated is games, and also things like keeping a running tally of scores throughout a 1 hour lesson. Okay, so you know, keeping the competition level going tends to keep them motivated as well. Kids love to be in competition with each other, and keeping scoreboards going, you know, marks for good grammar, marks off for bad behavior, that kind of thing tends to be good motivation, I find. Okay, hope that answered your question. Joanne, hello, you have an Acer laptop. Okay, show off. No electronic pen. I don't have an electronic pen. Not even quite sure what an electronic pen is. How can I adapt my equipment to be able to write on a virtual board? So when I teach online, I have the whiteboard software, and I just use my mouse basically to write on it, and I'm getting quite good at sort of using my mouse point like a pen to get through it. Okay, I don't feel like many people I know that teach online have some sort of electronic pen with some sort of screen, that kind of thing. I do know some people that have bought a cheap tablet, and they use their finger to write on a whiteboard software, and they get that to go through and connect up with Zoom or something like that. So that's something that some people do, but I don't have an electronic pen or anything like that. I just use my mouse on a whiteboard, and on an electronic whiteboard, and I just go with that. I've got a whiteboard up there on the wall. I sometimes get a whiteboard down and physically I draw like that. Okay, that is also something that I do. Okay, I wouldn't go out and buy any sort of electronic pen or anything like that. Okay, good. Faheem, hello. Apart from the TEFL certificate, what were other requirements from you to teach abroad? Okay, so the first thing, if you're going to go and teach abroad, if you go and teach English abroad, the first thing they do look for is some sort of TEFL certificate. So like 120-hour teaching English online course, something like we provide on our website, TEFL.org. Go on there, have a look. This is a theoretical course where you learn about how to teach English online. There's topics, there's assignments for you to do, all that kind of thing. Get that 120-hour certificate. That will get you into that will help you fulfill the requirement that jobs have of teaching English. Some countries do expect you to have a degree. So for example, to go teach, I think in Vietnam at the moment, you've got to have a degree, and in China. Now, there are ways around this if you don't have a degree. For example, in Japan, you could do something called a working holiday visa. That way, that will get you a work visa to go and work in Japan without a degree. But a good percentage of the Asian countries, for example, do expect people to have a degree in order to get their full work visa. If you don't have a degree, don't let that rule you out of teaching abroad. We have blog pages on our website about how to go and teach abroad without a degree. But TEFL certificate, then probably a degree is the next thing, but not always. The other requirements that people have is sometimes there is a native speaker bias. I put the word bias in there, but some recruiters do want native speakers to go and teach, not for any sort of scientifically proven reason that they're better teachers, because trust me, they are not. But that's just what the students want, and quite often the parents of the students want. They feel like it's better to have a native speaker. Don't get me started on it, but that is unfortunately some of the requirements that you'll see. But the number one requirement is a 120-hour certificate. Okay. If you are a non-native speaker, though, there are also opportunities out there. Just have a look at that. If you want any more questions about teaching online, then please do put them in there. Okay. Good, Lizzie. I'm glad you're liking it. John, hello. Do schools, Asian specifically, provide teachers with textbooks for young learners? Yes, they tend to provide textbooks, or at least their own materials. It might not be a textbook, but it might be sort of some lessons that they have written themselves and they expect you to teach. What do I think of them? I think that, like all sort of textbooks, there are good chunks of it and there are bad chunks of it. So you will find that the textbooks have some good chapters in it that you think, do you know what, that works well? And there are also some chapters in it you think, do you know what, that wasn't good? And that comes with experience, because the second time you read it, you might think, that second time you teach it, you might remember that this one wasn't so good, and you sort of supplement it with something. Okay. So just be aware of experience. Was it not very good the first time round? Then hopefully the second time round it will be better, because you can supplement it with something else. Okay. Good to see so many questions. Thank you, everyone. Nicholas, did we answer that one? How do you keep young learners motivated? I think we've done that one. Lots of games, that kind of thing. James, hello. You were wondering about teaching younger learners online and teaching classes back to back. Is it easy to do, or would we be better off trying to space them out? Right. So, James, if you're back to back, does depend if you're going to teach the same materials. So, for example, if you're going to do from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. a past simple lesson, and then you have your 10-minute break and then you do the same lesson, that's not so bad. Okay, because you've just taught it the hour before, and then that way you can go through it. Okay. Then if you are teaching it something different, like a different grammar point or a different type of lesson, then that can be more difficult, because you've only got 10 minutes to shift stuff around to get your files right, that kind of thing. So I think it does depend on whether you're teaching the same thing back to back or whether it's different. Okay, so that's the first thing. I like to have at least 10 minutes between, and I have a break every 10 minutes of an hour, because I think it's too long to be sat in front of a computer for you. You know, you need to get up out of your chair and walking around, but also you need to give them a break if it's a 2-hour lesson. So try and space them out. Remember, you don't want to try and teach too many hours in a day. You can chase the money, and I have previously online tried to chase as much money as I can in a day and ended up teaching 7 or 8 hours. You get tired, 7 or 8 contact hours, you get tired, your quality of lessons go down. So I think sort of 4-5 hours in a day is about enough. Okay, good. I hope that answers. Angelique, hello. You've just finished the 120-hour and you're doing the 30 Young Learners and Extra. Good idea. So if you've already got your 120-hour course, a good extension, if you're looking to learn more, is the Young Learners one. That will help you to get work. Okay. Is there a way of applying for jobs in Spain? Yes, there is. Right. So if you are looking to go teach in Spain, right, Spain at the moment is difficult. A lot of language schools, a lot of Spain is locked down at the moment. So at the moment, finding work in Spain is difficult to go there. I always recommend with Spain, look at the cities which aren't quite as popular. So everybody wants to go work in Barcelona. Everybody wants to go work in Madrid, maybe Malaga, that kind of thing. They're just 3 cities within Spain. You know, there's lots of other. Almeria is one of my favorite cities in Spain. I'd love to go work there. Valencia. Try and think about working in places where there's not as much competition. That will help you get jobs. Okay. Then Google language schools when you're out there. Look, before you go out there, sorry, Google language schools in Valencia, for example. Idiomas, Spanish for language, schools. Google that and then fire off some emails to them. See if they are open at the moment. Okay. The other option with Spain is get quite a cheap EasyJet Ryanair flight out there. Say, get a cheap Airbnb for a week, something like that. Try and find some work when you're out there if you've got the cash to do it. Okay. Jobs where you can try and job sites. So we have our own TEFL org website where, if I'm just going to show you that, let's just see, hopefully you can see this website. This is our own TEFL org website job center. So in that there's a view all jobs here. You can go on it and you can look for jobs. There's jobs all over the place there where you can find Dublin, Gloucestershire, Chelmsford. It does get a bit more exotic than that. There you go, China. There's lots of online jobs there. Poland, Tokyo, Seoul. Look at that. There's loads of jobs all over the place there. So go onto our tefl.org website. It will look like that, the homepage. Then if you go to TEFL jobs here at the top, you'll find some, you can find some jobs here. Okay, so that's the number one place that I would go for. All right, online and abroad. Okay, good. Angelique, good luck with that. I hope it works out for you. Faheem, what challenges did you face when you first started teaching in a classroom? And is there support? Right. Challenges that I first found were being nervous, hadn't sort of sat in front of a load of people or stood in front of a load of people. Okay, so that was difficult for me. Yes, there is usually support. I've never worked anywhere, well, apart from my own business when I set myself up after sort of 10 years of teaching. I've never worked anywhere in a center abroad where there wasn't someone else they're more experienced if you were new that could help you with it. So yes, there are usually support, and that is the sort of thing that you could ask at an interview. What sort of support would there be for me, Faheem? Okay, good. Bence, hello. What is the best source of activities for young learners? So are you looking for a website? I think the British Council website is quite good. There's a Learn English website, Bence, that will do that. Okay. Lovely. Thank you, everybody. Let's see. My screen just changed there. Capsule. Hello. Capsule Wardrobe Collection. How often do you correct a child? You don't want them to stop talking. That's a very good point. Error correct at the end of a sentence. This is the same for adults and kids. Yeah, let them get to the end of their sentence or the end of their phrase, or a natural pause. Then go back and try and correct them. You are totally right to not interrupt people. Okay. And then don't just say, well, you said, yesterday I eat pizza, when it should be yesterday I ate pizza. Don't do it like that. Try and do it with your voice or your fingers, saying yesterday I eat pizza. Yesterday I eat. Put the emphasis on it. Oh no, teacher ate. Get them to think about the errors themselves. Don't just correct them. That's how we learn. Okay. Briana, how do you get past the language barrier in the classroom? So I think your question might be whether they have a different language from you. Is that right? I think so. Every country I've ever taught in, I've not known the first language. Okay, it's very, very natural for people to not for that to happen. Okay, what you would find is everybody around the world will know a little bit of English who's been to school and that kind of thing. And then all you're doing is add into that English. I've never taught anywhere apart from actually in the UK, but that's a whole different way of things. But I've never taught anywhere abroad where they haven't had a bit of English, and then you just add to that level. I hope that answers your question. Okay. Georgina, you're looking at teaching in SK. Is that Singapore? South Korea, maybe South Korea, where there seems to be a lot of kindergarten position at the moment. Okay. What are your tips for working with kids that might not even grasp the own language. So don't expect too much, Georgina. That's the first thing I would say. Lots of individual vocabulary activities, less grammar activities. Okay, lots of dancing, lots of fun type things instead of sort of going down the route of, oh, right, today we're going to study the past perfect continuous, that kind of thing. Just have lots and lots of fun. Okay, good. Angelique, with young learners, if they have no English at all, I've never ever had a class where they've had no English at all, ever, even with 4-year-olds and 5-year-olds. Okay, how would I start a lesson? I always start my quite young learners, and so I'm sort of talking about 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, with some sort of song and a dance. Hi everybody, let's get up and sing this song. And you'd be surprised that they might not be able to sing every word, but they'll be able to sing certain sounds. They'll be able to get the intonation, all that kind of thing. All right, good. Georgina, a bit of a general question. How often have you encountered helicopter parents or parents with high expectations? I have found that everywhere I've taught young learners. Okay, how do I deal with them? I deal with them by being honest, first of all, not trying to lie, and then I also deal with it by having good examples of where their student is good or bad. So in a parents' evening, that kind of thing, making sure that you can say, look, this is what he said, or this is what he did, or this is what she did, and they should have done this, or they haven't done this, or they treated this, like, having clear examples really shows that you can deal with any problems with that. Okay, if they have high expectations, just be honest with them and say, look, your student, your daughter, your son is not going to be able to get to this level of English in 3 months. It's going to take them 2 years. Put into Google how long it takes to go up a level of English. You'd be surprised how many hours it takes. Hello, Katie. You're teaching 4 to 12-year-old kids online. I hope not all in the same class. That's quite a big age range. I hope the 4 to 6, and then I know 6 to 9, then 9 to 12. I hope they break it up. Having that many in the class isn't going to be very good for you. I hope that is not something that's happening to you. Right. Yeah. I mean, Katie, you're not going to have much difference really between that having bad behavior online and also having bad behavior in a classroom. Like I said earlier, have some sort of reward chart, which you can have on an electronic blackboard, or you can have it written up behind you if you're teaching online, that kind of thing. Make sure that you write down all the details, and so you can put it in a report to people like that. Okay, good. Fiona, do I have any suggestions for teaching a class of mixed ability young learners? Yeah. So what I would say with that, Fiona, is if you've got let's say, I don't know if you're teaching online or in a classroom. If it's in a classroom, then lots and lots of pair activities. Okay. And then changing the pairs a lot so that the high level ones are together with each other. Sometimes they can bounce off each other a bit. They can help the lower level ones if you mix them up, and then have some sort of extra activities for anyone that finishes quickly. Okay, sort of have some backup activities. Brendan, what is the best way to teach for a limited period of time? Okay, so if you've only got someone for 3 weeks, you've got to be very clear what they expect after that 3 weeks, and you've got to make sure that your lessons are very tailored to their expectations. Okay. The most important thing to try and achieve in that limited time is basically practice, that they have practiced lots of English. Okay, they're not going to improve a huge amount in that three weeks, especially if you're only seeing them part-time. Okay, get them going, practicing. Okay, good. I hope that helps. Anita, giving 3 free FREE classes online, why would you do that? If you're teaching yourself, you could give a free trial lesson to people to try and get them in. So I remember when I first started and I didn't have any students, I gave away 20-minute lessons for free to try and get them to carry on. But then I went down the route of only charging them $1 for that, and now I don't do that at all. If you're starting up and you're online, trying to set yourself up online, it is a way of getting students, but I wouldn't do it for too long. Okay. Faheem, might sound like a dumb question, but is there usually a demand for TEFL teachers in countries who have English as one of their main languages? So, right, having countries where English is one of their main languages. So, for example, India is a country where English is one of their main languages. And then I don't know whether you then also mean somewhere like the UK or Ireland where English is the main language. The problem with these countries where English is one of the main languages, if you're not from there, is to get a visa to work there. Okay, so I would, for example, I would love to go and teach in America, go teach English in America. I can't get a visa. So even though I have a UK passport, so getting the visa is the problem. Okay. Demand, there is a bit of demand, but nowhere near as much demand as a country where English is not one of the main languages. Okay. Nicholas, hello. Are there any online companies that I recommend to teach with? Yeah, I would go onto our website. Okay. And if you go onto the main page, if you click on blog, okay, if you click on blog and then you type in there, teach online, okay, if you teach online, then there are lots of sites here, lots of pages here, and you can hear what people think about certain companies, okay, and there is a bit there about about the schools. I can't find it right now, but if you go on this blog page here, TEFL.org/blog, and then you type in there teach online, you can find lots of good stuff on there. Okay, good. Albana, is it different if differentiation really possible in a young learner's classroom? I'm not quite sure what you mean by differentiation, but I think there are themes that go through young learner classrooms, and that is basically energy level, okay, and making sure that you got a variety of activities. The activity is not too long. You try and cover a lot of different activities within your topic. I'm not quite sure what you mean by differentiation. Sorry, Albana. Eleonora, hello. Can an Italian citizen teach in USA with a TOEFL qualification? Yeah, they can. Again, Eleonora, the problem I find in America is getting a visa. We, for example, at TEFL.org run teacher training courses in America for people wanting to also teach in America. It's something that happens, but you'd have to check how easy it is for you to get a visa. Okay. Good. Briana, hello. How long is the process usually to get hired for in-person learning? Right, it depends. If you have to get a visa for the country that you're working in, it can take sort of 2 or 3 months to get that visa. So from the first, you have your interview, you apply, you have your interview, can then take 3 months. Okay. The longest I had to wait was 7 months once to get my visa through. So I was sat there twiddling my thumbs for 7 months, and they kept saying, "Don't worry, next week it will come." But that was to Iraq, which is not probably somewhere you want to go. Although I've also been out there within sort of 2 or 3 weeks of applying somewhere. So it does depend on whether you need to get a visa. Okay. Sarah, was it more challenging to teach adults? No, I think they each have different sort of challenges. I don't think my most challenging class I've ever had was legal English in teaching adults. I found that really difficult. Again, just comes with experience, Sama. I don't think one is more challenging. I think you will find yourself which one that you find more challenging. Grazia, what is a good number of children in online lessons to deal with at the same time? That's a really good question. I don't think you can teach much more than 4 or 6. I think anything more than that, and it gets really difficult. Okay. Sorry. Okay, I think, and also one-on-one online can be difficult as well, I think, with kids. So I think 2 is a good number, 4 is a good number, 6 is a good number. Any more than that, not good myself. But you will find jobs out there where they expect you to teach more than that. Okay, good. Ali, hello. The online company I work for is one-on-one, and they only provide a book for young learners, but they prefer more free talk. Right. A beginner, 6 or 7. Again, hope that the company doesn't have too much expectations for you, Ali, because really you're not going to be able to make a 6 or 7-year-old beginner talk freely that much. So again, it's just getting them to talk about themselves, keeping the subjects very simple. And then, for example, in the first lesson, you might just talk about family and get them very, very basically talking about my dad is tall, my mum is small, whatever, that kind of thing. There is expectations, Ali. And if you've got a company that is forcing too much expectations on you, be a bit wary of that one. Okay, Ali. I learned about the companies. Yeah, go onto our blog page, like I just went through, and you'll see some companies that are advertising on them. If I don't want to personally, and then if another good way to find recommendations is to go on Facebook. There's lots of groups on Facebook, including our own TEFL org group, not page, group, where people are chatting about it, and you can ask people, is this a good one? Is that a good one? Okay, Google for that kind of thing. Really, it's one. Some companies fit different people's personality different. Okay, some companies are quite intense, getting you to teach lots of hours, and also people like that. Some companies, they might be a bit more relaxed. So it does depend on you. Nicholas, about motivation, I think I've already answered that one. Giving them stuff that they actually want to learn about. Georgina, my biggest mistakes first-time teachers make with young learners, I think expecting too much. Sometimes it's enough just for them to have some fun learning English and not expect too much. Okay. That was my first mistake. Okay. Don't try and pack too much in terms of the topics you're covering. Activities, loads of activities, but topics, not too many in one lesson. Anna, hello. How do you encourage a shy, anxious student to participate in speaking? Right. First thing is, don't force them too much. You don't want to be known as Anna the teacher that's a bit harsh in forcing people. Okay, try and get some one-on-one time with them if you can. Breakout rooms online, that kind of thing. Sometimes it's enough just for them to speak like 1 or 2 minutes in a 60-minute lesson, something like that, just to get their confidence up slowly. People are shy. Okay, so don't just try your best. And don't expect too much. That if you are friendly, if you are nice, Anna, that student will eventually come out of their shell. That's what I think. Okay. Grazia, does it make sense that speak only English even though they are just starting to learn? Yeah. So the first thing is people expect you to only teach English. They're probably, unless they are complete zero English beginners, then they might help for you to speak a bit of their language. But on the whole, students want you to speak English to them. Okay. And they will try harder. If they try and throw some, for example, when I was in Azerbaijan, I remember this guy, I would speak to him in English. He would just throw the answer back to me in Azerbaijan. And eventually I don't speak Azerbaijani. You're wasting your time. You're wasting my time getting to speak in English. Okay. Good. Angelique, you've looked on TEFL.org and maybe it's me, but there are no jobs. I've just shown a lot of jobs on there, Angelique. Maybe there's not in Spain. Were you the one that asked about Spain? The problem with Spain is at the moment, companies aren't really recruiting. Spain is on lockdown, Angelique. Okay, so I would go down the route of applying. Google the parts of Spain where they're not on lockdown and see if you can get some work out there. Okay. Sam, why do I think one-on-one online teaching is difficult? Can I expand on this? So adults, it's lovely. It's fantastic. But for kids, I think quite often it's, if you've got quite a shy kid or a kid whose level is quite low, like I struggle to speak to some 5 or 6 year olds in English at my daughter's school. They're quite shy. They don't come out with much. So getting them to, come out of their shell as a young person with this crazy bearded white guy in front of them that they might never have seen before, you know, can put them on edge, can really get them into their shell. So I find teaching kids one-on-one can be quite difficult in that terms. Adults is different. I love teaching adults one-on-one online. I think that's fantastic. Okay. But I think, yeah, just the problem is getting them out of the shell and getting them talking sometimes one-on-one. Marlene, what is the biggest difference between an online class and an ordinary one? That's a good question. So obviously not being there is, it can be a problem in terms of really knowing whether they understand. So if you're speaking to someone physically in a room, sometimes you can see in their eyes whether they understand, whereas sometimes online you can't do that. Okay. So that's what I found. Okay. The other difference is sort of the energy level that you can have, you know, walking around and that kind of thing, being sat in your chair yourself can sometimes sort of drag you down, can keep you sort of depressed, that kind of thing. So I think like the energy level you have to show it a lot more in your face than you do with your movements, that kind of thing. That's what I find. Okay. The theory behind them both is very, very similar. Okay. Faheem, what is the best ways to get classroom experience before teaching in a real environment? So couple of different ways for him. I think you were in the Middle East, if I remember. So in the Middle East, it's quite difficult to get classroom experience before teaching in a real environment. What I would recommend to you is to do something like an add-on to your, if you feel like this is going to be a problem, you can do an add-on to our 120-hour course where you can do practical elements after you've done all the theory. That will then give you the experience and the help to get you through the classes. Okay, so definitely some sort of add-on to the theory course, which is practical. That will help you. Okay, and lots of people's opinions coming in about one-on-one. Good. You know, some people love it, some people don't. That's perfect. Brendan, hello. You speak reasonable Spanish. Should you try to use your Spanish to explain concepts, tell them more in Spanish? No, I would not, Brendan. I would keep it entirely in English. And I would not let on that you know Spanish to your students, because that way, if they do speak to each other about something, you can, in Spanish, you can understand. If they say something bad about you, you know, okay, that kind of thing. Brendan, you're probably going to be employed to teach English, not to teach Spanish. That's what I'd say to you. Okay, good. Just coming to the end now. I'm just seeing if there's any questions that have. Grazia, hello. On private online lessons, what is a correct price to charge? Right. So I would look at, depends where you are in the world, Grazia. What is a good rate of pay for where you live? You know, when I lived in London, the rate of pay was higher for someone in a school teaching than it is where I am now in Ireland. So think about how much are you happy to earn for the place in the world where you are, not where your students are, where you are. Then work that out per group. With groups online, you can make a bit more money because you can charge, you get more per hour, but they pay less per individual. So, you know, I charge £30 an hour for one-on-one class. I'm quite expensive. You will find a lot cheaper teachers out there. If I do a group one, I charge £10 an hour for 4, if that makes sense. So I make £40 an hour, £30 an hour one-on-one. Burim, I'm sorry, the mic seems to have been an issue. I'm going to have to work that out with Alan about that. Liam, should you teach any grammar to young learners? Yes. I mean, the emphasis should always be on conversation, really. I personally think, but they will expect some grammar. As they get older or as they get higher levels, then definitely, yeah, teach grammar. Amashi, I love this question. Has your mental health or that of someone you know ever been affected by having to be constantly upbeat? It's tough. Sometimes you spend 6 hours being this upbeat, happy guy. Hi. And then you're just knackered at the end of it. Okay. I don't think the solution. I think you definitely get some good. Teaching lifts me up when I'm depressed a lot of the time. Last question, Eleonora. Thank you everybody for listening. I've got to be off. How can you double check if what they are writing is correct? Well, you could check by doing, if it's online in a shared document, then you can see it. Get them typing in that kind of thing. I think in a 1 hour class, you're trying to get too much in. So quite often in a 1 hour class, you have some focus on it. So today it's going to be a reading lesson. Next week it's going to be a writing. Next week it's going to be a speaking. You know, don't try and fit in too much in a 1 hour class. You know, look at the theory of teaching English online, and you'll see that you don't try and fit too much in. Okay. Which activities more? The activities that are more important depends on what their needs are and what they want. Okay, good. Guys, I'm really sorry for any microphone problems that I had today. I really apologize for that. Okay, I'm going to have to try and work that out, why that is. But thank you very much for your questions. They were fantastic. There were really good ones coming in. Okay, so please, I'll hopefully see you again soon. Merry Christmas. I didn't say that one. Look after yourselves, everybody. If you do have any more questions, please log into our Facebook page, go on Messenger, send us a message, send some questions, or go onto our TEFL.org website. There's a chat with us function. Get involved, say hello. We love hearing from you, and hopefully we'll have another one with better microphones soon. Thank you, guys. Cheers. Thank you. Bye.